Sigma males are known for their silence. They don't explain themselves. They don't talk just to be heard. They move quietly, think deeply, and keep most things to themselves. To the outside world, they look calm, unbothered, and in control. But there's more going on under the surface. Behind the stillness, there are truths. Thoughts and feelings that shape how they move, how they see the world, and how they treat people. These truths are rarely said out loud, not because they aren't real, but because they're personal. They're complicated. And sometimes they're hard to admit even to themselves. Being a Sigma male means you don't follow the usual patterns. You don't chase approval. You don't look for group validation. You do what makes sense to you, even if no one else understands it. But that mindset doesn't make life easier. It makes it different. And that difference brings pressure, doubt, and questions that aren't always easy to share. This video breaks down 6 truths that most Sigma males live with, even if they never talk about them. These aren't weaknesses. They're just honest parts of the experience. If you've ever felt like your thoughts don't match the image people have of you, this is why. Let's start with truth number 1, something that hides beneath the silence, but never really disappears. Truth number 1. He fears being forgotten more than he fears being ignored. People think Sigma males don't care what others think. That's partly true. They don't chase attention. They don't beg for approval. They're fine with being outside the group. But deep down, there's one fear that shows up more often than most expect: the fear of being forgotten. Being ignored is easy to brush off. Sigma males are used to it. They know how to stay quiet in rooms full of noise. But being forgotten is something else. It's not about the moment. It's about legacy, impact, meaning. The fear is not, why doesn't anyone notice me right now? The real fear is, will anything I do even matter in the end? This thought shows up in the quiet moments. Late at night. After a long day. After finishing a project no one sees. After walking away from something without telling anyone. The Sigma male doesn't need applause, but he still wants to matter. He still wants to leave something behind that feels real. The problem is he rarely says this out loud. It sounds too close to needing validation. And that goes against everything he's built his life around. So instead of saying it, he keeps moving, keeps building, keeps showing up. But the weight of that question follows him. What makes this fear so strong is that Sigma males are often misunderstood. Because they don't show emotion or seek recognition, people assume they don't care. But that silence doesn't mean apathy. It just means their thoughts go deeper than they let on. And one of those thoughts is, what if no one remembers any of this? This fear doesn't stop them. It motivates them. It pushes them to create, to build, to impact, even if no one notices right away. But it also makes the journey lonely. Because while others are chasing attention, the Sigma male is chasing meaning and hoping someone, somewhere, will see it when it's all said and done. If you've ever felt like your work matters more than your name, like your life is bigger than your image, but still wondered if anyone will remember you, you've lived this truth. And even if you never say it out loud, it shapes how you live. Truth number 2. He doubts his path when everyone else seems to know theirs. Sigma males don't follow the crowd. They don't copy trends. They don't take advice just because it's popular. Instead, they build their own path, one decision at a time. But what most people don't see is how much doubt comes with that freedom. When you create your own road, there's no map, no guarantee, no confirmation that you're doing it right. While others follow systems with clear steps and support, the Sigma male has to trust his gut. And sometimes that trust gets tested hard. He sees other people with structure, friends climbing ladders, people settling down, success stories being posted online. Everyone seems to know where they're going. Meanwhile, he's still figuring things out, alone. He doesn't talk about it, but it's there. That question, did I take the wrong turn somewhere? This doubt doesn't come from insecurity. It comes from pressure. Because when you choose your own path, you also own every mistake. There's no one else to blame. No one to lean on. And even if you believe in your vision, the silence between results makes it hard to stay confident. Most Sigma males won't admit this out loud. They don't want to seem lost. But inside they wrestle with it. Not every day, but in the quiet. They wonder if all the sacrifice is worth it. If the detours will ever lead to something better. If their way is even working. But here's the truth. They keep going. Not because they're sure. But because they know that turning back means giving up what makes them different. And even in doubt, that difference is still worth protecting. If you've ever looked around and felt behind, even while knowing your path is right, you're not alone. That doubt doesn't mean you're lost. It means you care. It means the path matters. And if it matters, then it's worth walking, even with questions. Truth number 3. He resents expectations even while carrying the weight of them. Sigma males are expected to be solid, strong, focused, calm under pressure. People see them as the ones who always know what to do, even in chaos. And over time, that image becomes a silent rule. One that they never agreed to, but still carry. They don't complain. They don't make a scene. But deep down, there's a weight that builds. The pressure to always have it together. The quiet demand to never crack, never need help, never lose focus. And while the Sigma male lives up to it most of the time, it doesn't mean he likes it. He resents it, not because he wants pity, but because it's limiting. It traps him in a role where weakness is not allowed, where asking for support feels like failure, where every mistake is judged more harshly because people assume he shouldn't make any. This resentment doesn't show up loudly. It shows up in moments of silence, when he's tired but expected to push through, when he's confused but has no one to ask, when he feels pressure to keep building, keep solving, keep carrying the room, while no one offers to carry him. He wants freedom, not just from others, but from these unspoken expectations. Freedom to feel tired. Freedom to say, I don't know. Freedom to be human without being seen as weak. But he rarely says this out loud because the moment he does, someone will say, but you're the strong one. That label is a cage. And the Sigma male knows it. Still he wears it. He holds it up. Not because he wants to, but because he believes someone has to. If you've ever felt the pressure to be the rock, even when you were breaking inside, if you've ever held your emotions back just to keep the room calm, if you've ever stayed silent because the world expects you to be okay, you've lived this truth. You don't hate the strength. You hate the assumption that you never need anything else. Truth number 4. He longs for connection even though he rejects the crowd. Sigma males are often labeled as loners. They prefer solitude. They don't chase attention. They move in silence. All of this is true, but there's another layer that rarely gets noticed. They want connection. Not just any connection, but deep, real, honest connection. The kind that doesn't drain them. The kind that doesn't require performance. The kind that feels peaceful, not noisy. But finding that kind of connection is hard because it doesn't live in crowds. The Sigma male avoids groups not because he's cold, but because they feel shallow. Surface-level conversations, fake laughs, forced energy, it all feels empty. He'd rather sit in silence than fake a bond. But that silence comes at a cost. He spends more time alone than he needs to. He turns down invitations not because he hates people, but because he doubts they'll understand him. And in doing so, he cuts himself off from the very thing he wants, real closeness. There's a quiet sadness in this cycle, a longing that hides behind control. He might tell himself he's fine alone, and most of the time he is. But there are days when the silence feels too loud, when the peace feels like isolation, when he wishes, just for a moment, that someone really saw him. He doesn't want crowds. He wants one person who understands, one friend who doesn't need explanations, one connection that doesn't come with pressure. But since that's rare, he stays distant. And the longer he stays distant, the harder it becomes to open up again. This truth never gets said out loud, because Sigma males take pride in being self-sufficient. But even the strongest ones feel it. Even the most focused minds crave warmth. And even the loners wish they didn't have to walk alone forever. If you've ever chosen distance to protect your peace, but later felt the cost, you know this truth. Wanting connection doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Truth number 5. He's not invincible. He just hides that vulnerability with control. Sigma males often give off a feeling of control. They're disciplined, measured, always thinking ahead. They don't panic. They don't overreact. And people mistake that calm for invincibility. But the truth is, he's not invincible. He just hides vulnerability behind systems, routines, and careful choices. He stays ahead of problems so they don't catch him off guard. He avoids chaos by setting tight boundaries. He prepares, plans, and stays alert, not because he's cold, but because he's protecting something soft inside. He feels pain like anyone else. He gets discouraged. He gets anxious. He worries about things he can't control. But instead of expressing it, he manages it. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he doesn't trust the world to hold it well. He doesn't cry in public. He doesn't rant online. He doesn't open up easily. And while that helps him stay steady, it also keeps him distant. People think he's unbothered, but really, he just processes everything alone. The hardest part is that few people ask how he's really doing. They assume he's fine. He always looks fine. But on the inside, he's carrying more than most people know. And since he's never really broken down in front of anyone, no one thinks he could. That's the danger. Because sometimes he needs a moment to breathe. A place to drop the armor. A space where he doesn't have to lead or fix or carry. But since he never asks for it, he rarely gets it. He's not faking strength. He's just built a system to survive in a world that doesn't always handle sensitivity well. But even the strongest systems need a reset. Even the most solid men need a place to fall apart safely. If you've ever kept calm while hurting, if you've ever smiled through stress, if you've ever held it all together while no one noticed, you're living this truth. Not invincible, just deeply disciplined. Truth number 6. He wants a legacy, not just success, and that scares him more than nothing. Most people chase success. Money, status, attention. And once they reach it, they stop. But for the Sigma male, success is never the end goal. He's not trying to collect trophies. He's trying to leave something behind that matters. That difference between success and legacy is one of the biggest truths he never talks about. He wants impact, not noise. He wants to build something that outlives him. That could be a business, a mission, a message, or even just a way of living. But whatever it is, it has to mean something. That's the real target. And it comes with pressure. This pressure isn't about achievement, it's about time. He knows he won't live forever. He knows chances don't come twice. And even though he moves at his own pace, that clock in his head never turns off. It's always asking, is this enough? Is this worth it? Will this matter? That's what scares him more than failure, doing everything right and still being forgotten. Winning but leaving no mark. Looking successful but having no real story. And because he keeps this fear quiet, no one sees how hard he's really pushing himself. He doesn't brag. He doesn't talk about goals. But behind closed doors he's working. He's thinking long-term. He's sacrificing comfort now to build something stronger later. And the cost of that choice shows up in ways most people never see. Sometimes he gets tired. He wonders if it's even worth it. He sees other people living easier lives, enjoying the moment, not carrying so much pressure, and part of him feels jealous. But he can't stop. Because deep down he knows this is the only way he'll be at peace. He's not chasing legacy to be famous. He's doing it because he can't live a shallow life. Because quiet purpose is stronger than loud distraction. Because one small thing done well, that lasts after he's gone, means more than a lifetime of being noticed. If you've ever felt that quiet drive to build something real, even when no one gets it, if you've ever felt fear not of failure but of being forgotten, you know this truth. And even if you never say it out loud, it's the reason you keep going. The Sigma male moves through the world with discipline, clarity, and silence. But silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Underneath that still surface is a world of thought, emotion, and pressure that most people never see. He fears being forgotten. He doubts his own path. He carries expectations he never asked for. He wants connection but struggles to trust it. He hides vulnerability behind control. And more than anything, he wants to leave something that lasts. Not because he needs praise, but because he needs peace. These truths are real. They don't make him weak. They make him human. They explain why he moves the way he does. Why he protects his space. Why he rarely speaks unless it matters. And why he doesn't share these truths, even when they weigh heavy on his back. But knowing them changes things. It gives language to the pressure. It brings clarity to the silence. And for Sigma males, that clarity is everything. Because once you understand what you're carrying, you can carry it better. This video isn't about fixing anything. It's about facing the truth. Quietly. Clearly. And with the strength only a few really understand. You don't need to say these things out loud. You just need to know they're there and keep walking forward with purpose.